I'm LaDonna Lockard, and this is Max Combos. I'm joined today with Jeana Lanktree. Jeana, it is so lovely to have you back. Really quickly, I'm just going to address this isn't my typical setup. I am, in fact, in Hawaii, just finished with the Hamby event here. So getting to enjoy just the beautiful scenery. But thank you for being here, my girl. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little jealous that you're in the sun out in Hawaii. It's starting to chill. It's getting a little chilly where I'm at.
I know you should be jealous. Everyone should be because it's paradise here. Anytime I can make it to Hawaii, anytime anyone has a class they want me to put on in Hawaii, just know I'll do it. I'll do it. You don't have to talk me into it.
No, it's gorgeous.
It is. It is. So I want to talk to you because I know you've had a couple of hot topics on your mind this week. And I think that they are really going to benefit a lot of people who are trying to kind of find the best deals and the deals that are out there right now. So my lady, go ahead, talk me through it.
Great. Thank you. Well, two of the things that came up just this week, one of the things I preach to my teams relentlessly is understanding income. They've really got to understand different income types. And so if there's one thing you hyper focus on in your business and a way to capture more clientele and keep the loans that come across your door, it's understanding the income type. And so we had two things come up this week that was really interesting. They fell out at a different lender, came to us, and one of them was self-employed as secondary income. So I want to be very specific that it was secondary income. They fully qualified off of their W-2 income, but a lot of people have creative income right now. They have a side hustle, they have a hobby, something else they're doing. And if that secondary business that is self-employed has losses, the agencies, Fannie and Freddie, don't care. They're not going to count them. If that client can qualify off of W-2 income, they're going to utilize the W-2 and they're not going to look at the losses. Now, government lending, that's different. FHA, VA, USDA, they view it a little bit differently and they will count those. However, conventional doesn't. So if you have a client that, the difference is maybe a little bit more of a down payment, but they qualify because you don't have to hit them with the losses for a secondary side hustle that took, a negative impact to income, that's a quick flip that you can do. And so look at those guidelines, look at the different agencies and see where you can potentially place that and omit those losses for secondary income. So that was a big one. The other one was on beneficiary. So this was interesting. We had a loan that fell out and it came to us. And the reason it came to us was because the other lender wanted inheritance paperwork. They wanted all kinds of stuff. This woman had a very large deposit. It was not seasoned. And she had said it was inheritance from her mother passing. Once we got the documentation and I started looking at it, she kept insisting they didn't have the inheritance paperwork. When I looked at it, what it actually was a distribution from her mother's bank account. She was listed as a beneficiary on that account. So that is a beneficiary distribution, not necessarily to be lump summed into inheritance. So that's all we had to do was provide that she was listed as a beneficiary on her mother's bank account. And we were able to go ahead and season that, source those funds and get that loan closed for them, as to where everybody else was omitting that. She wasn't able to use it as a down because they wanted this big inheritance package. So really understanding the parameters of where their money's coming from. Little verbiage, one word over another word can make a drastic difference in mortgage. So just getting ahead of those little pieces and paying attention. And doing a little bit of homework. Sometimes you got to look up a guide, or sometimes you've got to get familiar and ask a couple more questions to determine how did they end up with this money and where is it coming from.
I think that is such fantastic advice. And you're so right, especially in a time right now where people want to make what loans they're getting work. And sometimes it does take a little bit more research to really make that happen. And then there are some that, it doesn't matter how much research you do, they're just not going to work. But I think that that is so critical for people to understand those little terminology differences, and they can make a world of a difference, particularly when presenting and representing to an underwriter. So I think that's fantastic advice. Where do you think, what resources do you utilize when you have questions on guidelines? Like, I know that you just have the guidelines probably memorized in your head for everything.
No, it doesn't change all the time. No way. No, I know I do a lot of research. Also, sometimes you've got to be creative, right? I mean, you have to look into something. So in this particular, where she was the beneficiary, I had to think about it differently. And I had to propose it instead of inheritance. I thought, okay, well, how can I reframe this? And so I said, this is a beneficiary distribution. I don't even know if that term exists, right? But it was getting it out of the lane of inheritance and then walking through that. And, so sometimes you have to be creative and get the underwriter's mind to flip into a different mindset because they're going inheritance, inheritance, inheritance. And they have a checklist and this is what we need for that. So just getting them out of that space and opening their mind to start thinking about something in a different lane. Sometimes it's verbiage, but the resources that I use, I love, the guidelines. A lot of us have different access to guidelines. Different lenders have amazing resource teams, your AEs, things like that, where you can reach out and call and say, hey, this is what I'm up against. What would you recommend? But to do your own homework, I use one of the ones that I love, I still use it to date, is Mortgage Currency, which is now called Mortgage Guidelines. And it's a subscription, but it gives me tons of information.
Amazing. Well, thank you as always for being here. We're going to jump over and actually go do a Take It to the Max. Is this our second or our third one?
I
think it's our third.
This might be our third.
It might be. You're getting up there in the very few people who have hit 3. So they're always a hit. You always give such amazing information. So I hope people will jump over, join us on the podcast. But as always, so lovely to have you here. Thank you again. And for Max Convos, I'm LaDonna Lockard.
For more on these and all of today's top stories, go to nationalmortgageprofessional.com.